Hey, what's up, everyone? I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Here's What I Think with your host, Charles Stabanci. We'll discuss everything from current events, economics, politics, and how it all relates to business and life. And today we have a pretty big update for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, if some of you may be aware, we've been following this Sean Diddy case very, very closely. Very closely. The last bit of information that we put out was centered on a story about them pretty much accusing Diddy, this is the prosecution, accusing him of trying to taint the public's perception of him. Right. Well, why? Because his kids were posting about him on social media. He had a video where his kids called him to wish him happy birthday, and they felt like they felt like the defense was trying to sway public opinion in his favor. But the part that cracked me up in all of that was when the video of Cassie got leaked. It did the exact same thing. It completely destroyed his image. As a matter of fact, it was that video that caused a lot of people to feel like he is guilty of the things that he's being accused of, right? So the government is doing that, but then when they put out a video like that, like, well, no, this is wrong. You're trying to sway public opinion, when that's exactly what the other video did. Some people feel a type of way about this, and I'm not joining them in their views. I don't care. I think for myself. I don't need to be following what people think. So what happened yesterday? A very big piece of news came out yesterday, all throughout the internet. Many various news publications were talking about it, but I want to read from theexpress.com, and had a pretty surprising headline. It says, Diddy's prosecutors told to destroy 20 pages of evidence after raid on jail cell. It continues on. Rapper Sean Diddy Combs scored a legal victory today after an emergency hearing led to Judge Arun ordering the destruction of 20 pages of materials obtained during a search of Diddy's cell. The defense argued that this search and seizure are in violation of Mr. Combs' 4th and 5th and 6th Amendment rights. As per court documents, the Mirror Access, Mark Alfilio, Diddy's lawyer, stated, when we visit Combs in jail, we have lists. Everything in these pads are things we discuss. Trial strategy, who we should speak to undermine a witness's credibility. We discuss everything with Mr. Combs. Allegations surfaced about Diddy's obstructing justice from jail by influencing witness testimony and using his children's birthday tribute posts as a tactic to garner sympathy. The article then continues on. Prosecutors have maintained that the search was not specifically targeting any inmate, including Diddy, and that no physical materials were seized from the defendant, but it was later revealed that they did have 20 pages of material in their possession. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christine Slavic was quoted saying, we're not required to notify the defense on our ongoing investigation of criminal conduct, and we receive these materials in an appropriate channel. Whenever we get new information, if there's reason to believe there's privilege, it goes to the filter team. The judge ruled that the material cannot be used at Diddy's upcoming bail hearing. Prosecutors pushed for the judge to keep him behind bars, alleging in their court filings that the rapper contacted witnesses ahead of trial. The allegations was reportedly was supported by phone call records and notes from the defendant's cell during a pre-planned nationwide sweep of BOP facilities. So you heard what that report had to say there, but there's more. So prior to this emergency hearing, one of the things that the defense requested was for Diddy not to be shackled and in handcuffs. Prior to that, every time he made an appearance in court, he was handcuffed and he was shackled. Now, the reason they said that they didn't want him to be shackled and handcuffs was because when he would present himself in court, it would subliminally send a message of guilt because you're already handcuffed and all of that. But if he walks in there freely, he can move his feet and all of that, then it gives the audience the sense that, okay, this is a person defending themselves, whereas the optics of, oh, this person looks guilty. And as a matter of fact, yesterday, as I was following the story, a reporter from Law and Crime Network was actually in the court yesterday when this emergency trial was taking place, and she got a chance to actually take a look at Diddy's countenance during this hearing. So what we want to do is want to play what she had to say about Diddy's countenance during this hearing, and then want to come back and continue on with the show. Take a listen to what she had to say here in her report.
All right, welcome back to Law and Crime, everybody. So we are having this special coverage right now of Sean Diddy Combs' case. He was just in that courtroom where there was an issue, a discussion about whether or not the government violated the attorney-client privilege, violated his constitutional rights by improperly taking or photographing material from his jail cell. And at the end of the day, the judge said there is certain material that will now no longer be discussed on Friday when the issue of Sean Combs' bail comes into play. And the issue of whether or not there was an attorney-client privilege violation, that's going to take a little bit more time, could take several weeks. But in the immediate effect is that certain parts of what the government was planning to introduce or argue will not come in on Friday. Now, we are joined by Elizabeth Milner, Law and Crime's very own, who is inside that courtroom, inside that federal courtroom. Elizabeth, talk to us about what the scene was like, the atmosphere, what Sean Combs looked like. Was his family there? Because unfortunately, we don't have cameras. You are our eyes and ears.
Yeah, that's right, Jesse. And of course, I brought my handy dandy notebook once again because, as you just mentioned, no electronic devices unless you have a particular permit and an order from the judge are you allowed to bring that inside federal courtroom. So we had to do it the old-fashioned way, a pen and paper and a notebook. So I actually got into courtroom or the courthouse, I should say, around 2:15, and thank goodness I did because it really paid off because it was kind of stacked as far as a lot of press trying to get inside that hearing, and I was very lucky to be able to sit inside the gallery because a lot of journalists were worried that they weren't even going to be able to make it into the hearing. The hearing was on a completely different floor than it was last time in a lot smaller of a courtroom, and really lucked out being able to sit in the gallery kind of on the right side, just like I was sitting last hearing in October. But you know, a big difference in this hearing compared to last is Diddy's family wasn't even inside the courtroom. They didn't appear inside court today, likely because this was an emergency hearing and we just got notification of it literally yesterday. So no sign of his sons, no signs of his daughters, no signs of his mother inside that courtroom hearing. But one thing that, and I guess I should say, it doesn't really surprise me as much anymore, but it is Diddy's demeanor. I was expecting, because his family wasn't here, for him to be a little more somber, a little more defeated in a way, but that is not Diddy. Literally his motto, besides being a bad boy for life, is can't stop, won't stop, and you cannot stop that confidence that he has when he appears inside the courtroom. I was very surprised to see that he had come inside. He had kind of smiled at the gallery. I felt in a way he even made eye contact with me, which was very kind of bizarre in a way, but at the same time he was just appearing as that confident Sean Diddy Combs that we have seen plenty of times in the images, of course, in the stories that we have covered prior. And again, he was an enamored figure once ago, but you know, you would think that about to be on trial for sex trafficking charges, that he would feel defeated. Being in a detention center for the last 2 months, he would feel defeated, but that was not the case. He appeared very jovial. He was very very focused in the sense of when the defense was making their arguments to the judge, Combs was sitting at the defense table nodding his head along. He was taking notes. He was passing notes to his defense attorneys. But then at the same time, you could also tell, going back to when he had first come inside that courtroom, was that I think he recognizes that a lot of people are watching him. There's never going to be a moment out of our mouths that we say Sean Combs looked defeated, because again, all eyes are on him. So he's going to make sure everyone is aware that he is in upper or higher spirits, I should say, as he's kind of battling this very heavy court case. But again, when he was inside that courtroom, he was very laser focused. He was, when the judge was asking about the notes and the whole debacle that was going on about that, Combs appeared very adamant that these were legal notes that were taken. They did violate attorney-client privilege.
So you heard what she had to say. So here are my closing thoughts on all of this. They're going to be having a bail hearing this Friday. The prosecution will now not be allowed to use those 20 pages that they were able to confiscate from him, so they can't use that. The prosecution is trying to ensure that he remains in jail, right? They're trying to ensure that, whereas the defense is saying, look, he should be able to come out and defend himself. He's given up his passport. He's giving you $50 million in collateral. He's saying that the only person he's going to be able to, people he's going to be able to be in communication with is his counsel, not even his family or anything like that. And I think we're going to have to see what the judge has to say. But in terms of how things have been going for Diddy up to this point, it's been one loss, one setback after the other. But for the judge to now rule against the prosecution is a pretty big update. because prior to that, it had been the prosecution was like 1,000 to 1 favor of prosecution. So I guess we have to wait and see what happens in Friday's bail hearing, and we're going to keep you guys updated. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about this particular story? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we'll catch you guys on the next show.